Hey friends, welcome back. Friends, on the last lecture we have downloaded and installed MySQL, and along with MySQL installation, by default we also get a yet another tool, and the name of this tool is a workbench. So if I search for workbench in here, we will get this application by default installed after we install MySQL database. So if I make use of this workbench tool, we can create a table, and definitely we will do the interaction with the application. So let us start the application, which is taking some time. Here we go. So now the workbench has started and there are some local instances. So let's connect, and we need to add the root password. So enter the root password which you guys have set in your system. So let me enter this in here and click on OK, and it will give us an interface. All right, so this is a query analyzer or a query interface where we can type in a query for sure. But the first thing which we need to do is to create a database, and under MySQL it is known as schemas. So here are 4 schemas which are already there. We will create a new schema, and for doing so we will right click in here, and here we will get a option to create a schema. Moreover, you guys can also use this particular icon to create a new schema into the connected server. So even this could be used, or let me close this, or we can highlight here, or we can right click on the schema explorer and click on create schema. Both of these operation will give us a same result. So let us create this schema, and the name of the schema would be, for example, project. So let's give the name as project, and let's click on apply. As soon as we do that, this particular interface will come up. Let's click on apply, and this will create this particular database whose name is project. If we click on this particular small icon which is of triangle shape, then it will give us a couple of options, out of which there is this option of tables. And by highlighting this, if we again right click, we have this option create table. So let us click on it. Now in this particular interface we need to give the name of the table, and the name of the table could be like users, and let's keep everything as default. And in here we need to add the columns. So let's highlight this, and the name of the first column would be user underscore ID, and it would be an int entity. It would be again a primary key and not null. Definitely these switches, PK stands for primary key, NN stands for not null. If we hover on this heading, then it will definitely give us the name of these columns. So you guys can decide according to these checkbox, and if there is a need, do check the checkbox. We need the primary key checkbox and not null checkbox, so we have checked in there. Moving forward, we will have a yet another column whose name would be name, and this would be an varchar entity. All right, we would require yet another column whose name would be, for example, email. All right, this would be again a varchar entity, so we will again have it. Now whenever we would like to add a column, we simply need to double click on this column, and we can add yet another column. For example, in here we don't want this, so let's revert this. Let me delete this, delete selected. All right, so everything looks okay. Let's click on apply, and this will generate a query, and this query will get executed in this particular database whose name is projects. Let's click on apply. The query script got executed. Now let me click on finish. Let me also get rid of all these tabs. Finally, let us double click on this tables tree, and here we have the users table. So this is how we can create a table by using workbench. And now if we would like to add data in this particular database, then definitely we can do that by making use of a query. Now we have successfully added this table users, and now let's proceed further and try to interact with this table using our project. Moreover, we can add couple of more rows in this particular table by firing the query directly to this query editor and execute it. In order to add a specific, for example, column in here, then we simply need to add a query. For example, query would be similar to this. This is not perfect query. In fact, let me correct it. We need to type in project, which is the name of the database, then dot users, which is the name of the table, then the columns, then finally the values. And let me fix the values, and let me add the value as maybe Pooja, and email would be again pooja@gmail.com. Let me do it. So these are some dummy values, and these are simply being added in order to read them from the database by making use of JSP and Servlet. So these are simply matter of adding some dummy value. So this is a sample query in here which is in front of us, and in order to execute these query we need to click on this particular icon, and if we do so, the query will execute. And let me show you this output screen, which is like not seen properly. All right, there is in fact some issue. Let me change it to, for example, 4, and then let me execute it. All right, so the value is added. I have already added 2-3 additional rows, and if we want to check the current structure of table, we can do so. If we hover on this particular users table, then we get these icons, out of which this third icon will show you the content of the table. Let me click on it, and here we go. So these are the current content on this database. So let us navigate to the Eclipse and let us interact with this database and this table users, and we will get started. This particular course is not based on these queries or MySQL, so we won't dig more into this query thing. And if you would like to understand more about query, I suggest you guys to Google or take a course on MySQL. There are plenty of courses available out there. So this is all about in today's lecture. We will dig more into database and connectivity thing in the forthcoming lectures. I hope you guys have enjoyed the lecture. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.